Very good evening, I'm Asad Ahmed. Months after bringing swathes of central London to a standstill, courts today started dealing with Extinction Rebellion protesters. But for some of the climate change...
Hello there, good evening, welcome to the programme. A couple have appeared in court on charges relating to the murder of Pat McCormick. His body was found earlier this week in a lake. He'd been missing since the end of May. Richard Moore.
Hello, first tonight. The race is on for the hearts and minds of 160,000 voters as they choose the man who will become Britain's next Prime Minister. Tomorrow, Tory party members in Bedfordshire will question Boris Johnson and Jeremy Hunt.
Good evening, I'm Julie Flanagan. Traces of chemicals found in Jersey's water are safe and not a public concern, according to an American report published today. It's after Jersey's Environmental Health Department found low levels of the chemical PFOS in some borehole water near the airport.
On Look East late tonight, tackling anti-Semitism in our universities as the University of Essex reveals a 33-step action plan. It follows an outcry over opposition to a student Jewish society. More on that later in the programme, but first, the other stories from across the region. The inquest into the death of the wife of a criminal on the UK's most...
Hello and welcome to East Midlands Tonight. I'm Mel Coles. First tonight, a talented runner's astonishing recovery after a devastating crash. Tom Holden, who's 22, was hit while cycling and suffered a serious brain injury. But he defied the odds and 2 years on is preparing to walk on stage to graduate in Loughborough. He's even back on the track. Elise Chamberlain has been...
On time for all the news where you are. Have a very good night.
Good evening and welcome to the Late Look North. Unions at BAE Systems in Brough say they fear manufacturing at the site could be lost completely by the middle of next year. It comes after talks with the Kuwaiti government to buy a new round of Hawk jets.
Good evening. He was described by a judge as a sexual predator who used his position as a police constable to pursue underage girls. Former Cleveland officer David Waller has been sentenced to 12 years in prison after being convicted of sex offences against teenagers, some as young as 13. One victim...
Good evening. A teenager accused of murdering 17-year-old Yusuf Maki has been cleared by a jury at Manchester Crown Court. Yusuf, who was a pupil at Manchester Grammar School, was stabbed to death in the Hale Barnes area of Altrincham in March. The boy, who's also 17, admitted to stabbing him, but was found not guilty of murder and manslaughter. Greater Manchester Police said they were disappointed with the verdict and will work...
Hello, good evening. A 21-year-old thief with a string of previous convictions has admitted knocking down and killing a chef in a stolen car in Edinburgh. The tragedy happened in Saughton in March this year. Police have welcomed today's news.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to South Today. A man who fatally stabbed a father on a day out with him.
Good evening. Nearly 7 years after Thomas Orchard was found unconscious in a police cell, misconduct allegations have been dismissed against the officers.
Good evening. Cheltenham Racecourse has played host to the two men hoping to become Britain's next Prime Minister this evening. Jeremy Hunt and Boris Johnson answered questions from Conservative Party members in one of the...
Good evening. A 17-year-old boy has been found guilty of murdering a 16-year-old student outside a college in Birmingham. Sidali Mohammed was stabbed in Highgate in February in front of a crowd of fellow students. He staggered away onto college.
Hello and a very good evening from Look North. The Yorkshire grandmother who set up an anti...
Good evening. The Metropolitan Police has been...
Good evening and welcome to BBC News. The Metropolitan...
Ha colloch go bhfuil an triplaid le gaine dáteach an fudaí is a dhéidir stan I fás na smisse.
Good morning.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the BBC News at 1. Britain is sent...
Good evening and welcome to the BBC News at 6.
The world's oldest package holiday company is in advanced discussions with the Chinese giant Fosun, already its biggest shareholder. We'll be hearing...
Hello and welcome to our look ahead to what the papers will be bringing us tomorrow. With us, the broadcaster John Stapleton and Kate
Westminster.
Good morning, Asia. Hello, world. It's a Friday. Glad you could join us for another exciting edition of Asia Business Report. I'm Rico Hizon. We kick off the program with...
Yeah, we start with the struggling travel giant Thomas Cook, 170...
Hello and welcome to World News.
Nikki.
Robin Smith, welcome to Extra Time. A test.
Hello there and welcome to Monday in Parliament. Coming up, as Whitehall
Hello and welcome to Tuesday in Parliament. Coming up, the Chancellor Philip Hammond drops a Hello and welcome to Wednesday in Parliament. Hello and welcome to Thursday in Parliament. Coming up, as the Conservative leadership candidates continue.